Okay, welcome to School Night for Scouting Training. We're happy that you could all be here today. We're going to talk about how we're going to build on the successes that we had last year and do a great job again in recruiting Cub Scouts. So, recruiting kids is not rocket science. It's all about planning, executing, and communicating. So, you know, our theme is Rocket into Scouting, Ignite the Fun. So we thought we'd have a little bit of fun here with, a cartoon now and then. So what happened in 2014? 2014, we looked at what was happening from a membership standpoint. And for the 13 previous years, we had seen declines in Cub Scout membership. So we decided we needed to do something different. So the membership committee focused on a single night plan across the council. And that was a major, major change. Prior to that, every unit had a different school night. And it was very difficult to leverage media, billboards, those types of things because it wasn't a consistent message. So we focused on that one night. Were we successful? Yeah, we were very successful. Last year we recruited over 1,200 more Cub Scouts in 2014 than we did in 2013. So we felt really, really good about that. And not only our council, but we've partnered with the other 6 councils across Minnesota. They all had their school night on the same night as us. They all experienced increases in membership. So we could leverage a lot of the things that we did. In addition to the most important part of school night, again, is bringing boys in. But we partnered with a media firm, Risdall, and just this month they were recognized with 3 major public relation awards for their support of School Night for Scouting. So the design of the materials, the billboards, the messaging, all the things that they helped us with, they were recognized by their peers in 3 different categories. So we felt really good about that. We accomplished our goal of bringing in more youth, and we were recognized for the quality of the campaign in the public relations department. So as we move into 2015, we're saying don't mess with success. We did it well last year. We're going to do it better in 2015, but we're going to keep a lot of the same approach and focus as we did. One single night across all of Minnesota. All of the other councils are joining us again on September 17th. Now, what is our School Night for Scouting this year?
September 17th. September 17th.
I think we need everybody to respond. When is it?
September
17th. All right, good. I think we've got that down. You'll hear it again. But last year, 2 of our districts doubled the number of people that boys they were able to recruit, and one district recruited or tripled the number. So again, being focused really helped us. So our theme is Ignite the Fun, Rocket into Scouting. So this website here, rocketintoscouting.org, is a key resource for you. A lot of the materials are available on that website. Additionally, if a parent finds that site before school night, they can go on that site and register for scouting. Actually, they can do that year-round. This site is available on a year-round basis. And we have online registration. So the plan on what night?
September 17th.
On that Thursday evening, at every elementary school, we will have registration available for Cub Scouts. So it'll take a lot of efforts, a lot of people to make that happen. The units can't do it by themselves, so the district, the council, other volunteers need to be engaged on that night just to make sure that if someone shows up, we can get them registered into scouting. So at a council level, we're going to, again, focus our emphasis on the promotion, the coordination, the training. And we'll have that one consistent message. Go to your elementary school, you can sign up for scouting. And again, that message is consistent whether you're in Mankato, Eden Prairie, St. Louis Park, it doesn't matter. It's one night across the state. We have an online registration system. I mentioned that. Last year was the first time, and we were the only council in the United States that had the capability of doing online registration. So that was completing the application and actually paying the BSA registration fee. Could all be done online. Then that application information the next day was reviewed and then handed over to the nearest unit so that the unit could follow up and make sure that the individual knew that it was successful, and then, you know, when is their first night event going to be, and do some follow-on questions. So what we as a council, I'm a council volunteer, so what we've done is we're focused on getting the campaign ready, helping develop the training that is here today, and districts will be presenting next month at their roundtables. We've got the online registration and the rocketintoscouting.org site. We would also call attention, there's another web called Adventurous Calling. And that's important for the units to go there and check the information on your unit. That includes information on who's your PAC committee chair, where do you meet, what night, what time. So that site links to the registration site. So if they don't know, you know, what PAC I'm associated with, they can put their zip code in or their address, and it'll bring up a list of PACs that are supporting that area. So if that's not correct, they're not going to be able to complete their connection and be able to ask questions. So we ask you to go out there and verify that information. Later on, we're going to talk a little bit about blast-off days. That's going to be one of the fun activities, but we'll defer that. So every boy who comes in is going to get that rocket. Our intent is that when they register that night on September 17th, they'll get a rocket. They'll also get information about when the next meeting is. But the rocket's not complete without the engine. So the engines we give to the PAC, and then they will distribute those when the boys show up to the PAC meetings, and they'll probably hold the engines until they have their blast-off event, because a rocket and an engine creates explosions. So they probably want to coordinate that. So every boy receives the rocket. Parents can also be directed to this site, but beyond the parents, there's a button for PAC leaders. You can click that, and a lot of the materials that we'll have, the pre-fillable kind of forms on when our meetings are and things like that, are going to be out on that part of the site. So we've also prepared the Rocket into Scouting guidebook, and at this point I'm going to turn it over to Kim, and she's going to talk about the content of that.
Thank you, Dan. We'll switch over here.
Yep. Holy cow. There's so many wires.
There we go. Lots of good stuff here. All right. So yes, so there's going to be some great resources that you've been handed or that you'll have if you're watching the training online. And this guidebook is kind of just information to read through. We're going to highlight some of it. If you were involved in the program last year, you'll have some reference points there. We'll kind of jump off of that. But the Rocket into Scouting Resource Guide is a useful tool. So the responsibilities of the unit, as you're reading through this and as you're going through the next few weeks and months, these are the responsibilities that as a unit you have. So Dan talked about as the council, what the council is doing. The district has some responsibilities, including making sure that the turn-in center is ready and making sure that the district executives have visited with all the units and all the schools. But as a unit, your responsibility really is boiled down to just this. first and foremost, you need to have somebody in the unit that has been designated as the chair for School Night for Scouting. You might call this a membership chair, somebody that really owns just keeping their eye on this whole process, making sure that it goes smoothly. So that's really the first step, is to make sure that somebody in your unit has kind of taken ownership of the School Night for Scouting and recruitment process. The second is to update the Adventurers Calling website. So like Dan mentioned, this is very, very important, especially as we have the online registration capability. A family might go to the website, Rocket into Scouting, they've seen all the great marketing, they go there, they look for their unit, they find by zip code your unit, but your unit has contact information that's 2 or 3 years old. That's going to be a dead end for them, and we don't want that. So you need to make sure that your information's updated on the Adventurers Calling website. Contact your DE if you don't quite know how to do that. Be here today or attend training somehow. All the spring training is going to be the same across, whether it's here today at university, online, or at your district roundtables in May. So attend and understand kind of what the structure of the program is. Now, why are we doing this training so early in the spring? Because you think, well, fall recruiting isn't until September. Why are we talking about this in the spring? The reason is, as we go through the calendar, you'll see there's a lot of things that need to be done starting really now. And so we need to be prepared for that. Make a plan. And I think this is where last year we had a little narrow focus and we want a broader focus, is to really have an all-encompassing plan, not just around the one September 17th date, but around the activities that happen leading up to and following. So we're going to walk through this supplemental piece, which is a checklist, which will help us make that all-encompassing plan. Of course, be ready and available on September 17th. Make sure this is on your calendar and other people in your units, as well as the troops that you're connected with. Have some of those Boy Scouts have it on their calendar so they can come and volunteer and help out on what day? September 17th. And then, of course, be prepared for your follow-up meetings with parents afterwards. So that, in a nutshell, is the responsibilities, and those are listed out here in the guidebook as well. So jumping to page 4. There's that timeline. I'm not going to again read through everything, but you just point out some of those key dates that are you're responsible for as a unit. Training right now in the spring. May, those district executives are going to be doing a lot of work in between now and the end of the school year to make sure they've not only connected with every unit, but also connected with every elementary school, so that the principals are kind of aware of what we're doing and prepared. So we want to do that now versus catching them in the fall. Let's be proactive and think ahead. Then there's this middle part right here, June through September, and this is probably the most important reason why we're doing training and talking about School Night for Scouting and fall recruitment now, is all of the great opportunities that we miss if we don't start thinking about this until August. There's summer events, neighborhood night outs, parades and activities that happen all through the summer where we want to get the word out that fall registration is coming. As a parent, I know that I don't start thinking about my kids' activities for the fall in the fall. I start thinking about them much, much earlier. So if I'm getting a flyer or an invitation for my child to join Cub Scouting in the summer, that's going to go on my radar. I'm going to start thinking about that. So we definitely want to start doing all of that promotion work through the summer. And we'll talk in a little bit more detail as we go through the planning checklist. Then, of course, in August, there's some follow-up training, and that's going to be at the district roundtables. That's when you'll get all of your registration material. So right now, we're not going to worry about things like the sign-ins, the turn-in center, and the sign-ups, and the registration forms, and the rockets themselves. We're going to worry about that in August. Right now, we're going to worry about that summer promotion. Of course, in September, we've got all the big events, not only the School Night for Scouting on September 17th, but also we have to think about things like the open houses and the parent nights and other activities around the school that we can use to promote the Cub Scout recruitment night. And then there's follow-up. So if maybe your registration doesn't go quite as you expected, work closely with your district executives to get information on follow-up events, invite a buddy nights and things like that, where you can then follow that recruitment, because really recruitment happens year-round after that push. So that's what the calendar looks like. On page 5 of the guide, we have got there the unit position, the School Night for Scouting chair position. So read through that. That'll help. That's a great way to get a parent involved that maybe is not really involved in the unit, because it's a short window. They have to pay attention between now and really September, and then they're kind of off the hook, or you pull them into another volunteer position. So it's a great way to pull a new parent in. The next two pages, pages 6 and 7, this is the promotions, both at the district level and the unit level. And there's a lot of things listed here I'm not going to read through, but I'll point out a couple of key things. One is the flyers. If you've been involved in Cub Scouting recruitment for any amount of time, you probably remember having to go online, the unit toolbox, and order your own flyers and get them picked up and all that. That has now been handed, that responsibility, to the district executives. So they will be handling the ordering of the flyers and getting them to the schools. Does that mean you don't have to do anything as a unit? Not necessarily. You may still want some flyers. Work with your district executive to get those to hand out at other places or put up in the grocery store, in the bank, things like that. But in terms of flyering the schools, that is something that the district executives will work with the principals. So I wanted to point that out. There's a couple of other items here, like the Partners in Education brochure and the teachers' gifts. Those are things, again, that the district executives are working behind the scenes, working with the schools. But as a unit, I think the next item, the Cub Scout interest form, is very, very important. So if somebody comes up to your table at the open house and they're interested in scouting, do you want to just hand them something and let them walk away? No, you want to make sure that you've captured their contact information as well as giving them your contact information. So those forms are a great way just to get a name, email, maybe a phone number, so that you can reach back out later if you haven't heard from them, they haven't registered, and see if they're still interested. Following up is very, very important that way. And of course, along with that comes applications. So again, if you're at your open house table, somebody comes up and they're ready to register, do you tell them to go away and come back on September 17th? No, always have registration applications with you, so you can always take that application. If somebody's ready to sign up, make sure you can take their sign up. So a couple of important pieces there. On the next page, that peer-to-peer recruiting, I think, is often overlooked, but this is our most probably important recruitment tool, is our kids and their friends. They talk to their friends, so have them invite their friends to Cub Scouting, whether it's by getting them a recruitment patch once they've done that, or just giving them some other little incentive, or making a special meeting or a special way to get those kids invited in, a buddy night, something like that. Make sure you're utilizing your kids to do peer-to-peer recruitment. And then don't forget about things like social media. So if your unit has a Facebook page, make sure you're including that. Or your district might have a Facebook page. Make sure you're incorporating social media. So a lot of, again, information to read through there, but we wanted to hit the highlights of promotions. There is a checklist, couple checklists now on page 8 and 9. Page 8 is some of those, again, responsibilities that Dan talked about at the council and the district and the unit. Again, just to refresh, make sure you feel like you're getting everything checked off. And then that checklist for unit leaders for the actual night of the 17th. What do you need to do as you go through that process? The night of the 17th, for those of you that may not have experienced it last year, really is designed to be a sign-up night. So parents may come to that looking for information, not really knowing what Cub Scouts is all about. So certainly you've got to spend time with them and give them the basic information about what Cub Scouts is. What we don't want this to be is an information night where they have to sit through an hour-long PowerPoint when they really just wanted to come and sign up. So the idea of the School Night for Scouting is to primarily register, but you're always going to get people that are just interested in information, so be prepared for that as well. Let's just make the assumption that they're there to sign up and get out so that we don't take too much time. The unit planning checklist. We're going to spend just a couple of minutes. Again, I think last year one of the things that we found was that we had so much focus on the one particular night. We need to zoom out a little and look at the whole process and make a plan starting now. So this is something you might want to walk through with your district or your committee, your unit committee, at your next committee meeting or as you're getting ready to plan for the summer and the fall.